Hi, my name is Brittany Golbek, and this is my signature assignment for social justice. And for this assignment, I decided to do a Prezi. And when I saw this presentation on Prezi, I thought that this was perfect for the assignment that we were doing. The idea behind the iceberg is that when you first meet someone, all you can see is that tip of the iceberg. You really have no idea what's below the surface until you really get to know someone. And so the more that I got to know this person that I met with for this assignment, I think I really saw um, her iceberg in full, and I was able to get a better idea of who she was and where she was coming from. So for the tip of the iceberg, the person that I met up with was a friend of a friend, and I'll call her Heidi. My friend, I'll call her Sarah, has known Heidi for a long time, and Heidi is someone who, just based off of the knowledge that Sarah gave me, she is married. She's a young mother, and she was a missionary kid when she was younger, which I thought was really interesting. Coming from a Christian background, I knew that I would have some things in common with her, but at the same time, she was someone who lived overseas and had a very different upbringing than I did. So I thought that was going to be interesting to hear about when I met up with her. My initial thoughts, just based on what Sarah had told me about Heidi, were that she would probably be someone who was very religious, someone that was very conservative. She sounded really nice based on what Sarah had told me. And she also sounded like someone who had like this easy life. Now, not meaning that she never had hardships or anything like that, but Sarah told me that she was a stay-at-home mom and had kids, and I compared that to my life right now as a full-time teacher and getting my master's degree. And my life is hectic, to say the least, right now. And so I think that just the idea of being a stay-at-home mom just sounds so nice to me and so different. So that was kind of some of my thoughts before I even met her. But the first time that we met, we went to Starbucks. So I went with both Heidi and Sarah. I'm someone who is typically very shy, and for me to be able to open up and just actually be able to have a real conversation with someone, it can take a lot for me. So I figured that having Sarah there would be able to put me at ease and kind of just let the conversations flow a little more casually. And so when we were there, we started talking about kind of just our basic day-to-day lives. The conversation was very superficial, kind of just surface level stuff. But we talked a lot about how she's a mom and that she has these 2 kids. And one thing that she mentioned that I was kind of shocked by was that just how tiring being a stay-at-home mom is. And I know that I understood that being a stay-at-home mom isn't just something that you can just relax and do nothing all day. I got that, but I don't think I realized the depth of how much she really has to do to take care of her kids and take care of the house and feed them and clean and cook dinner and all those different things. She just said that she was busy all day long and had these never-ending to-do lists that always got interrupted because her kids were playing or she had to go take care of them in some way or form. And so I think that was really eye-opening to me, just to see that even though she gets to stay at home, she's still working. She's a working mom at home. And we started talking about kind of the stay-at-home mom life versus teaching. And we talked a lot about how, we both have those kids during the day and how kids can be crazy and hard to manage sometimes, but they can be cute at the same time. So there's the pluses and minuses to it. But one thing that she mentioned, she said that, well, you're a teacher and you don't have kids. So at the end of the day, you get to send the kids home. And I thought that was so true. It just made me think that, well, yeah, my day is pretty stressful and I have all these things, but at 3:30 when I get to leave school, I'm not having to worry about any kids anymore. I'm worrying about myself only, since I'm not married either. So that was something that she pointed out, and that her day doesn't end until she goes to bed. She's always doing something for her kids or for her husband or for others. So that was kind of reminded me of that idea of taking a walk in someone else's shoes. And you don't really know how someone's life is until you really get to see what they're actually going through. then the second time that we met up, we went to get lunch, and this time it was just Heidi and I. And I was very intentional this time about making sure that I brought up the fact that she was a missionary kid. That wasn't something that I brought up in the first meeting. I wanted to keep it casual and light. But in this one, I really wanted to know all about her time in Brazil as a missionary kid. So we definitely had some deeper conversations. And I feel that after we had already met once, we had a little bit more of a connection to be able to just have these conversations and talk. So it was really nice. But she talked a lot about her life in Brazil. And she told me that her and her brothers used to just go outside and play all the time, and that her parents were Bible translators where they lived. And so they worked a lot. But one thing that she told me that really stood out to me, and it was a really small story, and it probably didn't mean a whole lot to her, but to me when she told me, it was so interesting. I've always had this idea that missionary kids are these perfect children. They have these parents who are very religious, and so they're raised and they have to be obedient and all of these things. And she told me the story about the lake, and her brothers wanted to go to the lake one day, and her parents said no, that they couldn't go. And so they went to their rooms and they were playing, and then they decided they were going to sneak out. So they snuck out and they went to the lake. Well, a little bit later, after they were playing in the lake, I guess their parents realized that they had left. And so she told me that she can just still see the image of her dad walking down the path towards the lake, and just the look on his face of being so mad that they had disobeyed. And we started laughing about that, and I shared some stories when I got in trouble when I was little, but it was just kind of this eye-opening thing that she's not perfect. Missionary kids aren't perfect. They are still kids, and kids are going to get in trouble, and there's going to be things that happen. I think it kind of just made her more down to earth to me, just to realize that even though she's a missionary kid, she's not perfect, and she's still a normal kid, just like I was, and just like all kids are. At our third meeting, it was Sarah, Heidi, and I again, and we went shopping and got dinner this time, and it was a lot of fun. It was just very casual and lighthearted, and I think it really showed me that I know she had been in the United States since she was in college, but I think that I still have this idea that she was from another country. She lived in another country, so things are different there, and maybe that she would just be a little bit different. But she wasn't at all. She was just one of us, and it was just so much fun getting to talk with her, and we all got to shop. But then another thing that surprised me was after shopping, we went and got dinner, the three of us, and Sarah decided that we should get drinks. And so we all got a drink, and I think it kind of shocked me that she ordered one too. Just that as being a missionary kid and coming from, a very religious family like she had, I guess I assumed that she probably didn't drink, and that wasn't true. She shared a drink with us, and it was a lot of fun. So I think I just had this idea, these assumptions that I had built up just about missionary kids in general. I'm a Christian, and I feel that I have a very strong belief system, but I've always had this idea ever since growing up that missionary kids were just different, and that they were like these perfect little children, like I said before. And Heidi just completely broke those assumptions, and just really getting to know her helped me to understand that. So my assumptions versus my reality, she was nothing like my assumptions, and she just kind of broke those down for me, which was great. Final thoughts. So like I've mentioned, I had a couple of biases coming into this assignment about Heidi. Her being a stay-at-home mom, I had the idea that she had an easy job, no stress, which I found out was not true. And then I also had this idea that she was this missionary kid, and she never got in trouble, but that wasn't true either, and that she didn't drink, and she proved that one wrong too. So I think it's just important to make sure that you are checking your assumptions. And so this is a picture of Heidi and I at the end of this, and she's someone I consider a good friend now that I really want to keep in touch with.